Welcome to an introduction to process modeling. I'm Steve and I'm going to explain the fundamentals of process modeling within business analysis, what business systems and business processes are, how they might be analysed using process modeling techniques, and how all this might fit into a systems development project and business analysis methods. This will help you to understand the context, how and where process modeling fits into systems development projects and business analysis. Also, to understand the underlying fundamental principles that underpin this. And perhaps most importantly, why process modeling is so useful within business analysis. What is business analysis? There are a number of possible definitions, but a straightforward one is understand how a business works in terms of people, data, and processes. Identify problem areas and potential opportunities. Analyze and understand business requirements and use the results of all that to implement change in terms of new and hopefully improved systems. We might look at a number of areas within a business, but perhaps the three key ones are business stakeholders, the people and organisations that work within and with a business organisation, business data, and our key focus here, business processes. Any system can be defined as having a system boundary, inputs and outputs, and processes within the system that take those inputs and produce the outputs. For example, a simple model of a business system might be that it takes raw materials and money as inputs and produces products and services and profits as outputs. Process modeling starts with defining the system boundary and the inputs and outputs, then drills down into the processes within the system. This is sometimes called the top-down approach. Start with the wider picture, then drill down into the detail. For example, if we were looking at an online retailer, the processes within the business might include purchase stock, take orders, process payments, and manage staff. We can then analyze those business processes both individually and also how they fit together within the business system as a whole. If we analysed one of those business processes, take order, we might find that it has input of order details and an output of delivered order. A key thing about any business processes is that it meets some business objective. For example, in this case, it might be to generate cash flow for the business and deliver profits. A model is a representation of a business system that may take out some of the complexities and focus on some key areas. For example, an architect working on a project to build a new house for a client might start with requirements analysis, what the client wants, produce some initial high-level drawings, and possibly build a physical model of the proposed home. What the architect is trying to achieve here is produce something that helps her to understand the client's requirements and can then use as a basis for discussions with the client to make sure they've understood those requirements properly before they move on to more detailed design and build. Business analysis is, in a way, very similar to architecture, except the focus tends to be on business systems and IT systems rather than physical buildings. The analyst will conduct requirements analysis, understand the business requirements, produce models in the forms of diagrams and text to represent those requirements, and quite often build prototypes to validate the requirements. In business analysis, a model is often a visual representation of a business system, usually in the form of diagrams of various sorts, with some supporting descriptive text if needed. For example, you might model a business system as you can see here, with business processes, system users or stakeholders, IT systems, and arrows linking the various elements together, representing the flows of information between them. If we return to our example of an online retailer, a high-level process model might look like this, with business processes such as purchase stock, process payment, business stakeholders such as the purchasing department and the accounts department, external stakeholders such as suppliers and customers. This is a fairly generic process model. Within business analysis, there are a number of specific process modeling techniques that can be used to analyze and model a business at different levels of detail. We will be looking at these and how to use them in due course. A diagram can take something complex and make it easier to understand. Something that I call the beauty of diagrams. More formally in business analysis, this is called abstraction. An essential part of business analysis is to validate these models with business stakeholders to ensure that they are accurate and complete. Imagine that you had a choice between using a diagram or the same system represented purely as text. Which would be easier to use? Well, in my opinion, clearly the diagram. By way of review, you now understand, I hope, the fundamentals of process modeling within business analysis. The fact that a system has inputs and outputs, and within that business system there are individual processes which have inputs and outputs. These can be modeled using process modeling techniques, and that process model is essentially a set of diagrams with some supporting text that provides a graphical representation of a business. The point of all this, the point of business process modeling, is that it helps you to understand how a business works, what the potential problem areas and opportunities are, what the business requirements are, and how this might be carried forward into a new, improved business system. What we will look at next is a number of process modeling techniques that you can use to understand how a business works and business requirements. And you will learn how to do these, how to apply them. So dive in, learn something useful, and enjoy.